Welcome to the Optimize Your Business and Your Life podcast for high-achieving entrepreneurs. Each episode will share strategies to help you create a highly profitable business and life you love. And now, your host, 2016 International Coach of the Year, Stacey Hylen.
Hi, welcome to episode 19 of Optimize Your Business and Your Life. I'm your host, Stacey Hylen. I'm really excited about today's topic, which is eliminating the invisible drag and creating more ease and flow in your business, right? That's what everybody's looking for. When you started your own business, you wanted your business to be probably a lot easier than it feels right now. So what we're going to talk about today is what you need to focus on to get more energy, right? Positive energy, to get more flow and to have it be easier. So why is it important to focus on this? Well, first of all, we know what you focus on, what you put your energy towards is what you get more of. And the topic that we're going to talk about today is sucking your energy in a negative direction. And that is what you don't want. You're paying attention to the things that are draining you, that are making you mad. And it's not conducive to creating more money, to creating more momentum in your business. So what we're talking about today is tolerations. Now, this concept came into my world 20-something years ago with Thomas Leonard, who is the founder of coaching. And he said, make a tolerations list and start getting rid of the tolerations you have. And so I've been doing this process in my business for over 20 years and also in my life. And I've been doing this with my clients. So let's talk about how to get rid of those tolerations, the energy suckers, so that you have more flow, more energy, more prosperity, more abundance in your business. So what are tolerations? They're anything in your business or in your life that suck your energy, that drain you, that make you mad, that it's something that's just not quite right yet. And it's not making things run smoothly. It's not making you feel good. And a lot of times there's an energy of lack under tolerations, right? Because when you come from your business into your business with an attitude of abundance, with an attitude of prosperity, you don't allow the tolerations because you know that you're allowed to have it the way you want it. You're allowed to have it be good, to have it be abundant, to have it be easier, to have flow going on in your business. So the tolerations are anything that's sucking your energy, causing you negative energy. And in some case, some of them may even make you mad, right? And so we want to get rid of those. So let's talk about this. We're going to talk about this in two different buckets. The first one is your business, and then the second one is in your personal life, because they're both connected, right? So let's look at some examples of what this might look like in your business. The first thing could be team members that are underperforming. So when you have team members that aren't up to par, that aren't creating at the standards that you have for your business, at the standards that you have for what you put out there, that is a huge toleration. And it sucks your energy, it sucks your time, and it really doesn't allow you to move forward and create and tune into that abundance and that creativeness if you're always being dragged down, right? So that's one. Another thing that I see a lot in my clients is that where things are manual versus automated, right? So what are some areas in your business? Now you might think, oh, this is going to take so much time, energy, and money to do this. But in a lot of cases, there are very quick fixes that can allow you to go from a manual process to a completely automated process. So here are some of the areas to look at that. It could be for no-shows. How many of you have had no-shows in your business, whether this is for a prospect that you're talking to them about becoming a client or with clients? Now, I find once you have clients that are paying a premium, they don't no-show, right? So you might even need to raise your rates in order to get the clients that are showing up all the time, the clients that are doing what they said that they're going to do. So it's very easy to put into a process of a reminder process. So you could look at putting in a text reminder. You could make an easy add to calendar link so that when somebody books something, they actually put it on their calendar right then, and then send out reminders a day before, the day of, and right before the appointment. So that's a great way to get rid of the no-shows that are happening in your business. Now, again, huge energy sucker, right? Because you think you have an appointment, you've arranged everything in your business to take care of that appointment, to show up for it. And then if they don't show up, like the rest of your day just goes down the energy drain, right? So put something in place. You could use something like Acuity or Calendly to do that. There's some other tools that I will list in the show notes as well that you can use. Another area that I see a lot in business is you are the weakest link there, right? If you don't implement, you are tolerating your lack of implementation, which means you are slowing down your progress, which means you are having negative energy, beating yourself up, being annoyed with yourself. So you have to put it in place that you don't tolerate excuses from yourself. You don't tolerate not getting the things done you said you were going to do, because it's easy when you're your own boss to just keep bumping things forward and forward and forward. So one of the things that you could do is put it out there in the world and say, okay, I'm launching this webinar on this date. Let people know, so that then you have to actually show up for it. It could be having a coach. It could be having a mastermind. It could be having an accountability buddy to handle that toleration of yourself and how you're showing up in your business. Another thing is your electronics. So is your computer too slow? Is your internet iffy, right? We had some problems with our internet, that it was kind of spotty. And I literally got to the point that I was spending close to $400 a month to make sure that my internet was top shelf, so that it was working. Now, I've now discovered a less expensive alternative, but at the beginning, that's what I needed to do to make sure that I didn't have internet problems, because in my business, internet is the most important thing, that it's working, that I can show up for my clients, that I can progress on things. Is it your computer? Is it your printer? Is it the way your email is set up? So for example, one of the tolerations that I had was my inbox. And so that was something to handle. I've now had one of my assistants for years, probably 15 years now, handling my inbox. So I don't have to focus on the spam. I don't have to focus on filing it. Filing all those emails felt like a drag to me, right? So it doesn't have to be something negative for it to be a toleration, but it can be something that's negative to you, that doesn't feel good to you, that if you get some support with it, or if you create a system for it, it will make everything feel so much better. Another area to look at is onboarding. What's your onboarding process like? Is it easy? Is it smooth? Or is it, sometimes I've seen in clients that if they don't have an onboarding process set up, then they're resisting bringing on new clients, because it's such a mess. It's such a challenge to get that process started and to have it going smoothly. Another area to look is, do you have the right software? So I've switched softwares a bunch of times, and it's always a challenge when you do it. It takes some effort. But once you have that software in place, then it runs so much more smoothly. So I switched over to a new software for my funnels, for all of that, and has made things so much easier because there's no downtime on this software. And the old one that I had, there was a lot of downtime, a lot of lag. It wasn't working all the time. And it also had a limit of how much you could create, which I wanted to be able to create unlimited things as I launched new products, new resources for people to sign up for. So I will also link to that software in the show notes. I'll give you an example of another toleration that one of my clients, probably 6-8 months ago, I asked him about tolerations, and he had a very successful business and over 8 figures. But his energy was just like, it was in mud. And this is kind of how you notice if you have way too many tolerations, you're not excited to show up for your business. You're not even excited to show up for your life and your day-to-day. And your energy, it's just like you're walking through quicksand. You're walking in the mud. It is not fun. And so what I was noticing with him is that he was really in forcing mode instead of in flow mode and in abundant mode. So we did this exercise and we looked at all of the things that he was tolerating in his business. And just one thing he was tolerating, what he realized is that it was costing him over $300,000 a year by this toleration. So we looked at, all right, how can we fix this so that that was not leaking out of his business? It was just a little tiny 2%, right? But that 2% in a big business really added up. So it doesn't matter, for your business, it could be $3,000 or $30,000, right? But those leaks that you're tolerating add up, and that money could be better spent in another way. So we put in a place to actually handle that. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So let's dig into your personal life, because again, having the energy, coming to your business, coming to your day from a place of abundance, a place of positivity. And as you know from my work with Tony Robbins, coming to your day in peak state and being in a positive energy really helps your business. It helps your life as well. So here's some of the things that I've seen in personal. So it could be the layout of your room. It could be that you don't like the way the furniture is. It doesn't feel right. Now, it's interesting because we're moving, and in the moving process, you have to get rid of a lot of stuff, right? And so there was a toleration right there, is that I was keeping all of these things that I didn't need anymore. So you spend more time filing, fixing, shifting, trying to fit things in than if you just got rid of this stuff that you were tolerating. It would be out of your hands. So definitely look at, what are the things that you could fix for yourself that, like I said to my husband, I said, we're fixing all of these things. We're getting rid of all these things that we've been tolerating because we're having people coming in to look at the house. But why didn't we do this for ourselves, right? We could have had this amazing, in our house, my husband is very neat. He keeps it, he's not somebody I'm tolerating. But there were little minor tweaks that made big upgrades that we could have done for ourselves that we just didn't think of because we thought it would be too complicated. There's simple little things like it could be your door is stuck, right? That sometimes, the humidity goes up and then the door swells and it's like, and you have to push it in, right? You could not have the right tools in your kitchen that make it easy to cook, that you're always like, one of mine was that I really wanted a huge saute pan, right? So then instead of doing the chicken in, 2 or 3 batches when I'm cooking it, because I like to cook for, a few days for the kids to have leftovers, I wanted a huge pan. And just the small one, it was a toleration, right? And it just made every day when I was going to cook dinner of like, oh, this is going to take so much longer. And since I got that new pan, it's so much easier to cook. I enjoy it more. I'm not ordering as much stuff out from takeout. We're not spending as much money on all that stuff. So see, a simple little toleration fixed makes you feel so much better. Another one, I make smoothies all the time. And when I got my smoothie, I have a Ninja blender and I love it. But it had one smoothie cup, right? And so it was always like the smoothie cup was in the dishwasher, the little thing that the blade for the smoothie cup was in the dishwasher, or my daughters would use it. And so one of the things that I did to get rid of the toleration is I bought more smoothie cups and I bought more of those blender attachments that goes with the smoothie cup, because now I can use it, throw it in the dishwasher. The next person, there's another cup, there's another attachment, right? So it's simple little things that really, it helps your morning, right? There's nothing like when you get up in the morning and then you have to wash your thing that you need to use for your breakfast. Another area of tolerations is people, behavior, right? So it could be like, I don't know about you guys, but my kids, it's shoes, right? Tolerating like every time you come in the house, the shoes are all over the entryway. That's a behavior that you're tolerating. And so you either need to fix the behavior or fix the solution that, maybe you have a better cubby there. Maybe you have something else that you can handle it, that the shoes go in the garage. You can just look and see how you can handle that. Another thing is clutter, right? And that's one of the things with moving, that you see how much stuff you have that you don't need and how much time you're spending to manage the things that you don't really need anymore. I'll give you 2 other quick examples. We have a soap dispenser in the bathroom. And so one of the things is when the kids were little, we had the soap there and it was always falling in the sink. It was always falling off. And so my husband got a soap dispenser on the wall. Now the soap dispenser, the kids don't fix it, so the soap leaks, and then he hates it, and it's really annoying. Every time you're going in there, you're cleaning up the soap. So again, little simple things that, okay, let's get something new there so that it's not an irritation like 3 to 5 times a day that you're annoyed by something. Another one I noticed with moving was my Tupperware, right? It's so funny because when we were looking at houses, I would, look at the drawers and things in the kitchen, and you would see the Tupperware was an absolute disaster. And I wanted, when people came into my house and looked at the Tupperware drawer, that they were like, oh, this is easy. This is simple, right? Everything fits. My Tupperware life is going to be amazing. They could picture their future self in this kitchen with their Tupperware as a really easy thing in their life, right? Because every night when you go to put your leftovers in it, you're not fighting with it. Every time you're unloading the dishwasher, you're not fighting with it. Okay, so those are some of the examples on the personal side that will help you create better positive energy, in your day, in your life, and then in your business. So here are some things I want you to watch out for. So one of the things that stops people from addressing the tolerations is because they've always done it this way, or this is the way it always has been, right? And so just because that's the way you've always done it, that you always put, I'll give you another example. The personal ones are really easy because most people have the same things, but we have cutting boards, and they were in a pull-out drawer in the cupboard. And every time they would kind of catch on the mechanism, and like, when we had people coming to look at the house, I said, you know what? I need to move those cutting boards because I know that when you pull it out, you just need to kind of move it so it doesn't get stuck in the mechanism. But if somebody comes into the house and just pulls out on the drawer, they're going to get it stuck and it could get broken, right? So I'd always had my things there, but I looked at it with new eyes and found another solution. So I want you to do this for your business and your life. And don't get caught in that you've always done it this way. Like, for example, if you've always done your calendaring a certain way, if you've always done your follow-up a certain way, look at how you can do it so that there's more ease, there's more automation, so that makes it easier for you. The second thing to catch yourself is that you might say, I'm too busy to fix that, right? And so when you say that you're too busy to fix that, you're allowing these small annoyances and tolerations to build up and the negative energy from them. But if you just fixed it, you would have a lot more time, space, and energy. So a lot of times the fix might take some time up front, but once you have it handled, it makes it much, much smoother. So look at that. So I want you to look at these with fresh eyes, like you're moving, imagine you had somebody come into your business and look at how you're doing things and say, like, why are you tolerating this team member that's not performing up to speed? Why are you tolerating the no-shows on your appointments? Why are you tolerating clients, canceling or rescheduling? Okay. So this comes to the next stage of what you need to do with this, setting some boundaries. So whenever you see that there's something that you're tolerating, you need to set a boundary and let people know, like, this is not the way it's done. And then set a standard, like show them this is how this needs to be, right? And this is what my client did with the $300,000 fix, is that we really looked at what are the boundaries? Like, this is what it needs to look like. This is the lowest, this is the highest for this particular circumstance. And I can't really share the details because it's private, but we set a boundary of like the percentages, the money, when there needs to be some checks and balances. And then we put a standard of like, we expect that the errors are less than this percent. We expect that the percentages are within this level, right? And ask yourself, how can this be better? How can this be easy? How can this be simple? And how can this be more fun, right? So here's how I want you to dig into this. So we've looked at why you need to get rid of these tolerations. We've talked about like a bunch of examples so that it's easier for you to get started in finding your list. And we've talked about how you need to handle them, right? Setting the boundaries, setting the standards. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to get out a piece of paper. And I think paper is always good for this because it really just allows it to brain dump and write down 100 tolerations that you have. Now, with my client that I gave you the example, we did the tolerations and then we looked at it by areas in his business, right? So What are the tolerations in your sales organization? What are the tolerations in your onboarding? What are your tolerations in your systems? What are your tolerations in your software, right? So you can start to look at that whole picture. What are your tolerations financially? Client service, team members. And then do the same thing in your life. What are your tolerations? Your tolerations could be that, I'll give you another really simple one. So one of my tolerations was like Friday night, not knowing what to do for dinner and not having a plan. So if we weren't going to the lake, I was always annoyed on Friday nights, right? And it's supposed to be like a great time of the week, Friday night, time to kick back, time to relax. And I was always like, oh, what are we going to do for dinner? We solved this. Now, Friday night is pizza night, right? And so it's a simple fix. We don't have to think about it. I mean, we can think about what we want to order, but it took away that annoyance of like maybe 15 minutes, maybe an hour of back and forth of trying to decide a plan. So super simple. So make a list of 100 of these. And then I want you to choose 3 to handle, 3 of these to fix. And so what I would do is I would look at what are some of the things that are super easy to fix? Because some of these things literally take like a minute to fix. It could take 5 minutes to fix. And you're going to get a big bump in energy and in your state and how good you feel. And then look at what are the ones that are going to be big ones to solve, but give you a big return on investment. Okay. So simple and easy, fast to do, and then the biggest return on investment. So if you start doing them like this, then you're going to get through them much more quickly. So choose 3 to handle, set a time to do this, and then choose another 3. Now, depending on what platform you're watching, I would love, or listening to this, I would love to know, like, what are some of your tolerations? What are you going to handle? What are you going to implement off of this podcast? Because again, everybody's looking at it with their own lens of what is normal, what the way it always was. So if you start sharing, like, this was my toleration, I had this software and I use Zapier, right? And I created a Zap so that it was automated. People are going to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that we could do a Zap for that. So it's really good. You can go into Optimize Your Business and Life on Facebook and share some of the things that you're doing to handle these tolerations and what your tolerations were so that everybody can benefit from that. So remember, don't just learn, implement. And please like and subscribe and share this episode. And I will see you here next week.